Hello everyone, what is up? Welcome back to another episode by the Pokemonster. As you might have noticed, today's episode is entirely dedicated to the collaboration between Pokemon and the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam. And as of today, I'm also known as Scalpy Monster. And there is just a lot of stuff to talk about, guys, so let's dive straight into it. The collaboration between the Van Gogh Museum and the Pokemon Company International resulted in the Pikachu with Greyfelt Hat promo card. This card caused so much chaos that at one point its publication was immediately stopped. Later, the card was issued via a different method, starting from February 10th, 2024. Now today we are focusing on the latter, but I still want to start the video with a brief introduction and discuss the main points regarding the event in the Van Gogh Museum and the Pikachu with Greyfelt Hat as well, so that people who weren't aware of the card and the event yet will also know what we are talking about today. The official launch of the event took place in the Van Gogh Museum on September 27, 2023, with press representatives, influencers and museum employees. From September 28, 2023 to January 7, 2024, children, with the emphasis on children, could enjoy various Pokemon activities in the museum. The collaboration arose from the shared link with Japanese art and culture. Pikachu is a Japanese pop culture icon, and apparently, Japanese prints were an important source of inspiration for Vincent van Gogh. The artists Naoya Kimura, So-So, and Tomokazu Komiya made 6 paintings inspired by the famous works of Van Gogh, such as Pikachu inspired by the self-portrait with Greyfelt Hat, Munchlax and Snorlax inspired by the bedroom, and Sunflora inspired by the sunflowers. To mark this collaboration, a special Pokemon promo card has been released and an exclusive range of Pokemon X Van Gogh Museum products have been developed. The products were available in the museum store and webshop. Now, between the release in the Van Gogh Museum and February 10th, 2024, there was also a release on the official Pokemon Center website. Saturday, October 14th. Van Gogh Museum is discontinuing the popular Pokemon card for safety reasons. The Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam stops issuing the highly sought after Pikachu Pokemon card. The card, which is sold online for hundreds of euros, has caused chaos in the museum in recent days. Not safe enough. The museum does not feel it is safe enough to continue with the Pokemon card and is tired of pushing and pulling visitors. The museum says the decision was difficult but could not be avoided due to a recent incident in which a small group of individuals created an undesirable situation. However, and now we get to a very surprising part of the news article, the unique card does not disappear completely, and this we already knew. Fans from the United Kingdom, the United States and Canada will soon be able to order the card online. This was just a very brief period, guys. I think it was sold out within an hour. And the part that surprised me the most, guys, was that on October 14th last year, it was already clear that the card would be re-available through various stores. In the last few weeks, people have hyped up this card a lot and made it look like it was a surprise that there was a restock and a reprint and a redistribution through various stores in the Netherlands. Now, how did I experience this period personally? Between September the 28th and October the 2nd, I asked a couple of people if they wanted to join me in a trip to the museum to check out the paintings in person and obviously obtain one of those highly sought after Pikachu with Greyfelt Hat promos. Eventually, a few family members who live a bit closer to Amsterdam thought it was a really neat idea to visit the museum, as no one of us has ever been there before. We booked the tickets immediately for the first available time slot, which was the 18th of November 2023. Now you have to realize that within the first 4 days, the first 6 weeks were already full. which is a testimony to the incredible demand for the card. Then, unfortunately, the bad news came that the card was no longer issued by the museum, the article that we've just discussed. After a quick calculation of the general expenses, it turned out that the costs would be approximately €60 per person. Gasoline, parking, museum tickets, some food and drinks and whatsoever. And besides, the drive would also be 2 hours to get there and then 2 hours back home as well. Without receiving the card, it would be all in all an extremely expensive visit to a museum for 1 or 2 hours in my opinion. So eventually, I decided to cancel the tickets. I was pretty sad though. A few days later, I decided to purchase a copy of the Pikachu with the grey felt hat online for €115, including shipping, through Card Market, which is basically the European equivalent to TCG Player. I've shown that specific copy before on the channel and said something like, "This will be the last time you see this card before it disappears in one of my binders for a long time." Well, here it is again, still laying around on my desk. February 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. Between January 7th and February 10th, it was revealed to the public which stores would participate in the new promotional event. Amongst them were Intertoys, Game Mania, Top One Toys, Primera, Bruna, MediaMarkt and Smith's Toys Superstores. As we got closer to the re-release date, a couple of stores that were allocated the Pikachu with grey felt hat cards started advertising with the promo cards online, and in real life too. I had set out a path throughout a portion of the Netherlands to check out some of the aforementioned stores, hoping that the cards were still available by the time that I arrived. On February 9th, I had to ship a Pokemon card. Dude, or madam, thanks for your purchase. And now my local post office happens to be a Primera, so I asked them if they were also participating in the promotional event, but they said they weren't receiving any copies. When I started my journey on the February 10th, I still returned to the Primera and a note was hanging by the door: "We don't have Pikachu promos." Together with a very generous friend, we started our journey Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning. We went to 5 different stores in total that day. After trying the Primera, we continued our adventure and headed towards the Toy Champ. Here we purchased 6 booster packs of Paradox Rift for €36 a person, receiving our first Pikachu promos. Going to the Toy Champ second turned out to be a very wise decision. Not only did we get the Pikachu with grey felt hat promo, but we also obtained a nice stamped Iron Moth Paradox Rift promo, which is also still sealed. We were very fortunate. Besides, after asking the cashier how the event was going so far, there was a huge line in front of us and also behind of us. She replied, "The promotion is going very well," while she was pointing towards the last 5 Pikachu promos laying on the other side of the register. Now guys, I just realized that in all my enthusiasm, I totally forgot to inform you on which conditions had to be met in order to receive a Pikachu with grey felt hat promo, and I think it's important to do so before we go to the next store. And initially I wanted to talk about this item at the end of the video, but I think it's also a nice tool that I can use to explain the conditions. Now I guess I'm just going to translate the text. Receive a special promo card. When you spend $29.99 or more on Pokemon trading cards in store, you get your promo card at the cash register. In the small letters, subject to availability, while supply lasts, in participating stores only, limited to 1 card per purchase/transaction, and last but not least, the $29.99 must be spent in a single transaction. Okay, having that out of the way, it was time to drive to another shopping mall, where we found an establishment of the MediaMarkt. Upon entering the store, we already saw a huge line at the cash desk. Despite MediaMarkt being a large electronics store, every single person that morning in line was carrying around a Pokemon product. Well, we decided to grab ourselves an ETB of Paradox Rift each, join the back of the line and hope for the best. Eventually, we had to wait about half an hour to get our promo cards. While standing in line, we heard people behind us, in front of us and basically everywhere talk about Pokemon. A woman behind us was talking on the phone in German about her standing in line for the Pikachu card. In my opinion, showing that just like the first release through the museum, the news reached far beyond the borders again. My body got a bit impatient as time went by, but I thought to myself, it is kinda nice to see all those people willing to go through the same process as us to get the Pikachu promo. Especially now, when, in my opinion, the general Pokemon market is showing traces of a downward trend. After receiving our third and fourth copy of the promo in the MediaMarkt, we discussed where to go next. It was getting a bit later, and we understood that the odds of finding more promo cards were getting smaller by the minute. We decided to pay a visit to a nearby Bruna and on the way home, check out one more Primera store before calling it a day. Once we arrived at the Bruna, it turned out to be relatively peaceful and quiet over there. Nice. On the other hand, it could also mean that we were just simply too late. However, after looking around a bit, I quickly spotted these billboards standing on the counter, indicating that we might have found ourselves a hidden gem instead. And indeed, when asked about the promo cards, the employee said he might have some of them left. We ended up purchasing 5 more Paradox Rift booster packs for €30 a person, qualifying us to get 1 more promo card each. After finishing up at the Bruna and having our bags filled with Pokemon products as a result of that day, it was time to go home. On our way home we visited one more Primera establishment. They told us that they actually were allocated Pikachu promos, but they have not arrived yet. We were advised to come back at the start of next week, as their product would probably arrive by then. The next Monday, 2 days ago, I went back to the Primera early in the morning and the cards still had not arrived. At the end of that day, as crazy as I am, I headed over there again and the products still had not arrived. I was told that the cards would arrive during the week and it was better to give them a call in advance to avoid extra travel expenses. That sounded like a good plan to me. On my way home that day, I decided to pay one more visit to the Bruna, as the general public might have not found out about it, and unfortunately also the Bruna was completely sold out by then. However, I also noticed that the billboards were gone. In one last attempt to find myself some Van Gogh merch, I asked the employee what happened to the billboards. He said he still had them, disappeared into the storage area and reappeared with the billboards, saying that I could take them home with me free of charge. Now, for an outsider, this might all sound very strange, but I'm very happy with these items. When I got home, I figured that I should have at least purchased one booster pack to show my appreciation, but at the time I just forgot. Admittedly, the products that we had to purchase in order to receive the cards were, in my opinion, heavily overpriced. €6 per loose booster pack of the second to last expansion, €50 and €55 respectively for an ETB of the same set. The prices might as well have been around the MSRP, but I'm used to get these products way cheaper through other channels and sources. Receiving those extraordinary Pokemon cards, however, made it all worth the effort and the money. And with this, guys, I want to conclude my Pikachu with Gravefoot hat Pokemon X Van Gogh story. I want to thank everybody very much for watching, and if you like this kind of content and any other Pokemon or TCG content in general, subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching. Pokemonster out. See you all on the next one.